ni wewe balefwaya kafa babalanda mwe umfokulira kwa bantu kazama yusi bose batinda be abakulu n'abana bose bashitata n'abana bayo banerira we mwamba kazama ilefwaya iwe wile webo weshi mwamba leka experience alankane wabomba mwamba Emmanuel bose bakasama balefwaya mwamba Emmanuel Mwamba Emmanuel Bakazama bakulira Tulefwaya mwamba wesu Emmanuel Chipani ni PF Tulefwaya mwamba wesu Emmanuel Wakuito uwele Emmanuel mwamba mbasata Emmanuel Tulefwaya Emmanuel mwamba mbasata Emmanuel Bakazama bakulira Tulefwaya mwamba
Good evening and welcome to today's The Brief. We missed you on Friday at an earlier engagement, I think, with the media organization, and we couldn't hold it on Friday, but we'll try as much as possible to have it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 20 hours. Today, we are discussing the issue of the Anti-Corruption Commission and the fight against corruption. Has it been a farce? You are aware that in the past I've criticized the ACC, especially in the manner they've operated. They don't seem to operate independently, and they seem to be a tool of oppression at the hands of politicians. In the New Dawn government, we saw them, for example, be deployed where there were two by-elections in Kabushi and Kwacha, where they were calling independent MPs, suspecting them that were going to be bribed for them to resign. And I remember raising that issue that the SEC now were being used as a tool to intimidate candidates. It's never happened where you are investigating a crime that has not taken place or is not even about to take place. And we have seen, especially their tussle with political personalities, where the head of state would mention something at the press conference or someone at the press conference, and the SEC then by Monday would move in. They were a political entity. But today they are in sharp focus. You must have heard the headlines that were carried by newspapers today, where there is the issue of 65 million kwacha that is missing. This arises from an audit report that was done by the Auditor General's report. We saw the SEC Director General, Mr. Musa Mwenya, literally, failed to answer to the questions by just disputing that the 65 million kwacha is not missing, and he says he has not seen the audit report. But for all that I've seen the audit report, it has numerous queries, it has numerous issues. It covers the period 2022. The purpose of that audit was to ascertain whether funds appropriated by government to the SEC was disbursed properly, that if the funds that were applied in 2022 were applied for the purpose that were appropriated for, and that if the expenditure conformed with the authority of the land, of the SEC Act, and of the Constitution, and best practices, and whether the funds were expended efficiently and effectively. Apparently, this is a draft report. SEC management is supposed to respond. It has raised over, I think, 80 key queries. It has exposed governance weaknesses at the SEC. There is lack of a risk management policy at the ACC. There is no strategic plan for the ACC. The manner in which they've been using the Forfeiture of Proceeds of Crimes Act, where this issue of 65 million, 1 million and $57,000 is coming from, where there was no paper trail, no paper, no receipts, no deposits shown, and therefore its deposit to allegedly Bank of Zambia and forward to Ministry of Finance is even doubted because the auditors just didn't see any document. The ACC doesn't have an MOU, to share information. Senior management, most of them are not qualified, or the auditors didn't find their qualifications on paper. They've engaged in wasteful expenditure, and the board and board chair are cited in this report. There's been irregular payments to the board, allowances that were not properly approved, and you are aware that in 2020 and 2019 there was a directive that all board meetings should take place in the boardroom, but the ACC board chooses to go to hotels, even as far as Chisamba. And then there were irregular payments to the Director General, who's now the DPP. He's been cited on various payments, overpayments, including a trip he took to Ivory Coast. Some of you would ask, why are you discussing a report that is in doubt? Why are you discussing a report whose authenticity is in doubt? I don't think this report, as comprehensive as it is I think it's an act by a whistleblower. You are aware of the event that are occurring at the Auditor General's office, where the state has moved in to dismantle that office. They accused the officers from the Auditor General, his 2 deputies, and everyone else of having paid themselves unearned allowances. Strangely, the ACC staff have been paying themselves unearned allowances where they didn't take any activities, or there is no evidence that activities were taking place. It seems to be a tussle. While there were instructions to dismantle the ACC, it's like the Auditor General's office also did their job. And in some of the institutions they tackled, we are aware of other audit damning reports from Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Tourism, and these are large-scale acts of corruption. And now this audit at at the ACC. I expected the board chair to just show us a receipt of his deposit into Bank of Zambia of the 65 million kwacha, the 1 million and 57,000 kwacha, $57,000. He didn't produce any receipt. He just cited the date that this money moved on 3rd March, he claims, without providing any evidence. After listening to the board chair, I felt that this matter required your and I discussion broadly to how these institutions are governed. Who is checking these referees? Who is checking? Who's hunting the hunters while they hunt for corruption, for fraud, for people to conform with the law? They seem to be at the heart of abuse of the law themselves. As seen by this audit, they couldn't even account for not just 65 million. There's another 11 million kwacha that has not been accounted for. A 1 million kwacha that has not been accounted for seized money. There's even a 1 million that was taken to Ministry of Mines, to the Minister of Mines, to support his work for the Sujilite scandal and Sujilite investigations. I can tell you, government doesn't disburse money like that. Government doesn't disburse cash. Is the audit report authentic? I think it is. I can firmly say that the audit report is legit, but it's a draft stage where you raise these issues to management of the ACC in this case. The management is supposed to respond, qualify, provide evidence that was not provided for at initial stage. I was privileged to have been permanent secretary in various places, and by the way, I used to score 0 audits because I ensured that processes complied and processes were given. Have we given out the number? I can see we have calls already. Good evening.
Good evening, thank you. How are you?
Very well, very well. I just need to give your name and number and where you're calling us from.
My name is Malama. I'm calling from within Lusaka.
Yes, Malama, what are your views?
Okay, I want to talk about the fact that there are some issues within the audit report, and my problem is that I've got a colleague who is serving a 2-year sentence for failure to follow procedures.
Yes.
Okay? And that is what is there at the Auditor General.
Yeah.
Let's assume they surrendered the money to whoever. Did they follow the procedures?
Yeah.
2 people, as of now, serving sentences for failure to follow procedures. And there are several people who have been charged for that same offense.
Yeah.
So, saying that though the money was given to them,
Yes, yes.
was procedure followed for the money to be deposited
Yes.
in the BOZ account in Control 99.
Yes.
If it was deposited in Control 99, then what are the procedures for removing that money from Control 99 to the Ministry of Education? That is the failure to follow procedures. Now, I don't want to go in details over that because what is there is an interim report, which is just on social media. If you check that interim report, even the heading there is there's a typo there.
Yes, instead on audit, yes.
Has been misspelled. So it's an interim report which should be responded to by management. That is the more reason why I feel the chairman of the ACC should not have come out the way he did. Suppose management at ACC they got this report, except that they are in the process of responding to it. There should not have been immediate reaction to this report. As a body, if you talk about corporate governance, especially that it was coming from the head of the institution, the head of the board. So those are the issues that we should be talking about. There are issues of the current DPP, who was the head of the institution there, who got money for a fully sponsored trip.
Yes.
And got an officer who is in trouble of ZESCO, something like that, ZESCO, who gave allowances for people who went on training, for training which was sponsored by the government.
Yes.
So it's a document I think we should take keen interest as Zambians, because it's important. We should not, I think the chairman should not have concluded that the people who are doing this are those who are fighting, are those who are corrupt, to borrow his word. I think it should have taken, it should have set aside, let management respond to that, because the head of the institution. That way, when the whole truth comes to the fore, it will be easier for him now to come on board. That's what I wanted to share with you, Ambassador.
Thank you. Thank you, Malama.
Yes, bye-bye.
Malama is very right. If you look at the audit report, the draft audit report, the matters are exhaustive. There are even pictures. For example, when the audit was done on some building that was derelict, or vehicles that were parked but were drawing allowances, the vehicles are there. They are ACC vehicles for feature of assets. If you look at the audit, it's very comprehensive. I therefore cannot doubt that the concerns that have been raised by the 65 million kwacha are not valid concerns. The concerns are there. The 65 million kwacha might not be missing, but how did you receive it? How did you disburse it? Government requires procedure, like Malama says. And when the auditor comes and you can't give him any of those documents, he will assume that money has been misappropriated. Auditors work with paper trail. You just can't say we gave it to Ministry of Finance or we showed the dummy check. A dummy check is not enough. And Control 99, all revenue from Passport Office to revenue to RATSA, to whoever, to immigration, whoever collects money, the money goes there. If I issue a check, it will likely go through. It doesn't mean that the money that we are talking about could have been deposited, because there will be a period of reconciliation where now someone would come 3-4 months later, if you've done banking, where you begin to match every payment to the check that was issued or the TT, the transfer payment that was done. So yes, a dummy check can be issued. The money can even be paid to the students. But was the money deposited in the first place? Control 99 is a reservoir account where it collects all revenue in one account. Remember, we normalized, I think I discussed this issue of Control 99 very extensively when we were discussing the IFMIS payment and how payments are done by the Financial and Integrated Management System at Government and Ministry of Finance. I discussed how Control 99 works and the paper trail it leaves. So those people arguing that how were the student paid? The student can be paid. I can issue various checks here and I have money for rentals, but the money for water and electricity can go through. If my tenant has not submitted the rental money, when I want to make a big check, my big check can bounce. That's the time I'll realize that maybe the money for my rentals didn't come in. So the shallow arguments we've seen are not holding water. And I've looked at the draft report. It's very extensive. It's circulating on social media. I don't think anyone could go to the extent of fabricating such an audit report, citing accounts of ACC, governance of ACC, irregular payments done to the DG who went to Ivory Coast, the payments done to Chisamba Protea. You mean all these were dreamed up? I don't think so. This is a work of a whistleblower who has alerted us at a rot at the ACC. This rot is everywhere. We've seen the kind of corruption that is at Ministry of Health. We've seen the kind of corruption that is at Ministry of Agriculture. And we've said the ACC is a tool of oppression because they're not dealing with the current corruption. They are just using the old corruption to fight old battles. We have a new number, 077-3783-785, especially for those calling directly. And those people that usually call on WhatsApp and fail to go through, use our old number, 0974-808-115. We want that number dedicated to just WhatsApp calls, especially for those in the diaspora and others, 0974-808-115 for WhatsApp calls. And for direct calls, use 077-3783-785. Let's begin to talk. We are discussing the fight against corruption. We think that it's a farce. It has degenerated to a tool of oppression. And the audit exposes the huge weaknesses that are at the ACC. There's huge governance weaknesses. There's no risk management policy. There's no strategic plan. The management of forfeiture of proceeds under the Forfeiture of Proceeds Crime Act of 2010 is not managed properly, hence the 65 million. They don't have an MOU to share information. Senior management mostly are not qualified and they have not provided the auditor with information. There's been wasteful expenditure from the board chair, the board and commissioners, and irregular payments to the Director General. And 2 cases have been cited where the board chair went on a sponsored trip to Ivory Coast, so literally stole the money because the trip was paid for. And there's another one of irregular payment when they undertook some local trips. There are over 80 queries on the management of the ACC that have been brought up. The Director General of ACC came on board and came to answer. His answers were insufficient, inadequate, and could not put to bed these matters. He showed no document. He's just cited the date when the money allegedly went to Bank of Zambia. He didn't show us any receipt of how they deposited the money, just like the auditor raised. And he was quick to call the report as not confirmed, or he doubted its authenticity. But if you take a look at the document, this is a work of a whistleblower who has blown the whistle. Let's begin to discuss. 077-3783-785. Do we have the video for the board chair responding? Okay, we have a caller here, but please look for that video.
Hello,
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'm calling you
From Mansa?
Yes.
Or do you wish to remain anonymous?
You can call me Bishop.
Okay, Bishop. Kindly make your contribution.
Yes, I would like to know is the leaked document, is the source known?
No, I don't think so. Like every leaked document, usually the sources are not known.
Do we have, does the ACC in its current form, do you believe it has got credibility, and can we believe what was given by the ACC Board Chairperson today?
No, not at all. He produced no document. He was just speaking, dismissing the document. But if you look at the audit query and there's issues that have been raised, they are very, very serious. Governance, management, and risk issues that were raised. There is even fraud, theft of public funds that have occurred. So the document is very serious. You can't wish it away with the press conference in the manner that the board chair had done.
But how has been there, if it was linked by the Auditor General office, what has the Auditor General said about that? Because I hear he'll be giving a press conference tomorrow. So why can't we wait so that we weigh down on his presser tomorrow? And
Bishop, you and I, if you have known how public affairs are done, government comes with denials. They deny and deny. If you don't put pressure, the matter dies. And we've seen various, it doesn't matter, even ministers come and even issue press statements and press briefing and deny that such a matter has occurred. The purpose, when there is whistleblowing,
you are saying, Ambassador, you are saying governments do that. So it's not only this government that is in power. Even the past governments have been doing this, denying also, because let's also compare about what was going in the previous regime, whereby land cruisers were bought, fare tenders were bought. There was a trip that was made by the former First Lady to America to collect those fare tenders at the exorbitant amount that was spent. We can look at other things where they were suspicious. I don't want to talk about the roads because those are there is no proper evidence on that. But we have got the issue of fare tenders, the issue of land cruisers, the issue of the honeybee, the issue of I remember there was a land cruise ambulance where Pambashi MP was implicated, but nothing was done on that. So how do you look at those? Are we going to continue? Are we going to win the fight against corruption with this type of maneuvers by current government, by, as you have put it to say, defending the wrongs? Every time we forget about the past. And when we want to, because these people that are in power, they are now enjoying the immunity where they cannot be investigated because there are powers that appoint the police, the investigative units, because they are enjoying that immunity. So are we going to overlook these things every time there's cases of corruption, we just keep quiet, we just forget the money are being destroyed, people are suffering, there are no medicines in the hospitals. People are stealing medications, people are pilfering medications, and we just sit. And whenever, I don't like what is happening in our society today, when people are asked to account for that, we call that persecution. And, many people died. When we talk about those defective condoms, many people died. Medications, many people died. But
Bishop, yeah, thank you very much, Bishop. I have to cut you. Let me pick some more calls. I think you've made your point. I'm so grateful, Bishop.
Good night. Thank you, Ambassador. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening.
Thank you very much. How are you? Yes, sir.
Very well. Kindly switch off your other device. It's making an echo.
Thank you very much. I've already switched off.
Okay. Yes, please make your contribution. Where you're calling us from?
Yes, this is Emmanuel calling you from Indola.
Okay, Mpundu Emmanuel from Undola. Make your contribution, my brother.
First of all, I just wanted to express my disappointment with the behavior of the board chairman for anti-corruption.
Yes.
Yes, because it is just been, I think it is very, very disheartening and disappointed. Yes. Because having a person holding such an important position
Yes.
in the land, which is an institution which helps the government or the governance system to be governed properly. To come out the way it came out, I think it was very, very disappointing.
Yeah.
And, the only problem we have as a country is that we like to reward political cadres positions or jobs. That's where the problem is, because these political cadres, they hold offices to defend even wrong things. They don't realize that when being appointed to a certain position, you cease to be a cadre. You hold that office and correct the mistakes which you found in that office. We can attack that person, Mr. Musa Mwenya, to be one of the civil servants. Who must inform the nation with authentic information, not correct information which the people of Zambia want to hear from him. Instead of hosting a press conference or press briefing to start denying a certain, to me, a correct and original document or letter came from or leaked from the Auditor General's report.
Yeah.
And these people were too excited when they seized the 65 million. No, the government has done so. Have you seen we are fighting corruption? Is it fighting corruption? This is what we are seeing now.
Yeah.
Or they're just about to enrich themselves.
Yeah.
This is what we thought is coming. Because this man has excited a lot of people, including the vice president, so excited. In government, now we have these are the corrupt people we have in this government, to be honest with you. They are calling UPF, the previous government, they are calling the previous government and previous leaders to be thieves. These are the thieves. Yes, quite all right, we saw a certain things happening in PF. Yes, they are thieves, but these are criminals. Sorry to say that. I'm speaking because of the right to speak and to talk. We want this information to be revealed to the Zambian people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I've always said if you're fighting corruption, you pay attention to the Auditor General's report. You will promote good best practices in the governance of our country. You will deal with the current corruption. Bishop from Mansa says, but what about the old corruption? Yes, the old corruption must be fought. So should the current corruption. You can call us on 0974 808 115, especially those calling us on WhatsApp. And the number we've listed, 07737 83785, for ordinary calls, so that at least we see how we can market everyone. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Eugene, Mr. Mwamba.
Eugene, my dear brother, long time.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene. Make your contribution.
A quick one. From that whistleblower. Number 30 information by Auditor General. So how does the whistleblower comes in?
Oh, you want me to answer you?
You can, yeah. Okay, you.
So you, Eugene, we do get an online conversation like this. First, there are things occurring at the Auditor General. You are aware that Auditor General alleging that they were paying themselves allowances for work that was not done. And all of us have said the only reason, if we were passionate about Auditor General's office, Mulandu wa corruption that they exposed in the 2022 working under President Hakainde Hichilema. The issues happening at Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health, ACC, Ministry of Tourism. And now these documents are beginning to emerge that truly there were serious issues.
So like, because the issue which they were being investigated, Ministry of Finance, wasn't it raised by Transparent International Zambia?
Yeah, documents were leaked. That's a complex issue. It might require its own day. But the point is, we know, and which we've been discussing, Eugene, is that
yes, I know.
When they exposed the glaring irregularities, theft and fraud in the government under President Hakainde Hichilema, we saw they had a hand to try to criminalize that office of the National Audit Office.
Then, okay, my other point, my thinking is since they were being investigated, so even them, they feel, you like they were saying, okay, even us who come and audit you, since you are investigating us. So it's like, I mean, it's just the two institutions trying to fight each other over, maybe it could be some personal issues or something like that.
But that means your money is missing. That means your money is missing.
No.
11.3 million is not small money. 1 million is not small money. 65 million is not small money.
But the 65 million issue, we all know there was a presentation of the check. The money was handed over to the Ministry of Education. Remember, last year, students were protesting. There were some students who were left out on the bursaries. So it's around the same period. That's why the decision was made to say, okay, we can use this money to pay off that. There are so many students who've been paid for.
No, Eugene, you are more informed than that.
Money,
no, Eugene. Eugene.
Government even came back to us.
Control 99 is a reservoir account, Eugene. It collects all monies and revenues. That's what Control 99 does. So you can issue a check against it and it will go through. It doesn't mean that the deposit was made. The student could even have been paid.
Money went to Bank of Zambia. That's where it was kept. Money went to Bank of Zambia. Then Ministry of Finance got. I think the transfer was made from the Bank of Zambia to the Control 99. That's what Ministry of Finance has said. They have also issued a statement. I don't know whether you've seen their statement.
So who do we believe? Who do we believe?
We believe government because even when those students were paid for, they even came back to say, out of the money that we got from Faith Musonda, we've managed to sponsor over 2,000 something students.
No, Eugene, after working in the bank, I can tell you the students probably were paid. But that it's not proof that the deposit was made. We should be very clear.
Oh, which deposit are you talking about? Because when
you recover the money, you have to deposit it.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. To Bank of Zambia, because that's where the money went.
We don't know if it did, because the auditor is raising issues that there is no proof that the deposit was done. There is no proof that the 1 million was done. There is no paperwork. There was no agreement availed to the auditors.
So I heard one caller saying the Auditor General will issue a statement. Is that what I was saying?
Even the new Auditor General for me is under doubt, because he's one of those that received the payments and he has not been fired. Instead, he has been promoted, and his colleagues. You know, like the trouble with the National Audit Office, Eugene, is that over 100 people were paid at Ministry of Justice, at the ACC, at Parliament, and at Ministry of Finance. And then you only select a few people to then arrest and scandalize. If we're serious...
The way I've seen it, where the challenge has been is that you find that there are some people who would want to not work with the current government. Others have already given in. So you find that if there is that friction, they will find something to pin you down. And like, because if they say, okay, let's work together, you don't want. So what happens? They will still find something to
Thank you for confirming that.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you, Eugene, for confirming that.
I'm sure. So
thank you for confirming that. Is that there is a list to punish and a list to retain. It's nothing to do against the fight against corruption.
I'm sure we are human beings, so I'm sure that can happen. All right, thank you for continuing.
Yeah, Eugene has helped me with that confession. You still can call on the other line that we usually use where Eugene used it. But so let's join the debate. On 0773783785 is our new number. We are encouraging only those calling direct. But if you want WhatsApp, use the other two of our numbers, our regular numbers, 0974-808-115. Let's listen to the board chair dismiss the audit report and his views about it.
We don't have it. Brian, we don't have the money. I've never seen 65 million in my life. So I can tell you that that money was handed over. And it moved from the Anti-Corruption Commission. We don't have it, and certainly we didn't misappropriate it. Corruption Commission. These allegations are contained in a purported interim management letter, which is circulating on...
Good evening. Oh, we lost him. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Mr. Man.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm very well, my brother. Who's calling?
I'm calling you from Choma.
Yes, from Choma, my dear brother. Your name?
I'm Oscar.
Oscar from Choma. How are you? Long time.
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Please make your contributions, Oscar.
Okay. I appreciate with your program. You seem to be conflicted somewhere. The way you are analyzing issues, you are not very objective. Hello?
Oscar, we can hear you. Don't analyze me. Analyze the topic and make your contributions.
Yes. The issue of I think the board chair for ACC put it clearly that the money was handed over to the Minister of Finance, and the Minister of Finance itself issued a statement to say that money was used correctly. But still more, it's like, I don't know what they should say to make you believe that that money was accounted for. So it is very difficult, even when to follow such issues, because if someone tells you to say, I went to Lusaka, and you continue saying you didn't go to Lusaka, what else can you do to make you believe what someone is saying? So that's the challenge that we have.
So we can say what the government is saying is more authentic than what anybody else is talking about. So we need to take the government position until we prove them otherwise. So at the moment, we saw some 2,000 plus students who were paid using the same 65 million plus. And even the student confirmed. And that time they were left out. So where did the money which the students were paid came from? So it come from. It means it's the same money which was gotten from Faith Musonda. So for us to argue to say, no, we don't believe this, it will be very difficult. And I'm sure you are aspiring as a president. If you people continue doing what you are doing at the moment, what the others are doing, you will find it very difficult to work. So we should be positive in what we are doing so that we develop our country together. So if we become so negative in anything or everything that we do, we will not progress as a nation. I think that's my contribution.
Thank you, Oscar. Thank you very much, my brother.
Of everything. Let's be positive. Where we know that there is something wrong, let's raise.
Thank you.
But if
an
issue is clarified, let's move with the government so that we move together as a country.
Okay.
Otherwise, if we start pulling each other, the other side, someone is pulling the other direction, and the others are pulling the other direction as well, we will not develop Zambia.
Thank you, my brother.
And
thank
in
you.
the process, we will just be increasing that friction instead of moving together as a team. Remember, if you're a divided nation, you can't progress. So what is important at the moment is unity. Let us work together as brothers, as a nation, and develop our mothers. Where we see something wrong, let's raise it.
Thank you, Oscar. I need to take these other calls, Oscar. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Oh, we missed that call. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello. Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
This is calling from Lusaka.
Who?
Faith.
Faith. Yes, calling from Lusaka. Make your contribution, my brother.
All right. Okay. So, Ambassador, I want to start from the beginning. I think we should look at things at a more broader perspective.
Yeah.
First of all, you need to understand, Ramwamba, the president or this government has refused to give us to disclose how much the president declared as his asset. Now that speaks a lot about our accountability and transparency. So we expect much more of these. These are just drops in the ocean. We expect much more by the time it's 2026. Because the head of state has refused to give us to be held accountable. Nobody is going to question today that no, you have this much, this time you're having this much. That's why those things are there now. Look at the queries. These things are coming out because people have realized that no. We can't continue to go like this. We need people to be answerable to what they are doing, the expenses they are making. Government, are they following procedure? Because that's what government is about. So this is where the problem is about that. We have a very, very huge problem. Abana ngandanga bamona wishina mailona akuwalona nabo bakamba ekyo. So it's coming all the way from the top. Now, I was very disappointed today. The board chairman, I hold him in very high esteem. I what is it, a lifestyle
Lifestyle audit, yes.
Yes, he was coming out very strong even before the UPND came. Now, I know that there could be internal politics, which is understood, but we are not interested in the internal politics. We are interested in accountability. I think that's what we want as Zambian citizens. We want our leaders to be accountable. If an issue is raised, I do not expect the board chairman to start throwing jabs back at the other at their colleagues. They needed to look at it, and you see, he was calling it it's on social media, so it's not authentic. It doesn't matter whether it's on social media, or it's on news diggers. No, his job is to look at it and raise a lot of concern in his own house. That's what is supposed to be happening. He should, and I want to believe he's an honorable man, he should have raised concerns internally and said, there is this. Let's answer it. Let's follow it up, because it's making him look bad. Definitely. So he should have taken time to look at where it's coming from, attack it from there, then come back to the media and say, look, we took these steps. When we received it on social media, we queried if it was authentic. It was sent to us that it was authentic. Then we tackled these issues that we responded like this to these issues because they were incorrect and so on. That's what people want to see. Accountability. Not this game of exchanging words and doing the blame game. It's to do not to help us. But you see, these people, I can tell you, nobody's going to be held accountable for this government because now can.
Yeah.
Short term was gone as far as the Constitutional Court to try and get ECZ to release, the assets that the president declared. Up to now, it's not happening, Ambassador. It tells you something. It tells you the type of leadership we have now.
Yeah. No, thank you very much, Faith. Thank you very much. Let's just allow other callers. Thank you for your contributions. Faith raises a very important issue that the president has never submitted to principles of transparency, is never disclosed to this country's assets, liabilities, income, and interests. How do you expect accountability from him? He's actually not even moved to State House, and we are incurring as a nation huge amounts of money from his regular movements. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Okay, well, this is Mr. Mwenya. I'm calling you from Kalomo.
Yes, Mr. Mwenya from Kalomo. Make your contribution, sir.
Yes, so mine is just a question.
Yeah.
Because, yes, we heard about the missing 65 million kwacha. And also we heard the ACC gave a briefing in the afternoons. And you have your own views. So now they are saying that money, I remember seeing a video where they were handing over a check to, is it MOF, is it the Ministry of Finance? So now, if you're saying, you seem to be very convinced that that money could not have been given, then where did the money that was given to the students come from? If that is 5 million was not the one. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mwenya from Kalomo is asking, where could the money have come from? I've demonstrated Control 99 receives all monies, all revenues, all domestic revenue for our country. You can issue a check and it can go through. I've been a permanent secretary. I'll have millions. Of course, the votes are different projects for your recurrent department expenditure. But there are sometimes you have money that you need to pay something, and you know that by the time the rollover is for that particular payment, you can issue a payment. For me, it doesn't convince me that. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, sir. This is Mwamba Chilufya calling you from Kabwe.
Okay. Make your contribution, Mr. Chilufya.
Thank you very much. Yeah, first of all, Mr. Ambassador and the opposition in this country, I want to say that you are too casual.
Speak clearly. Speak through the phone. You are faint.
I'm saying, what I've observed
My rentals didn't come in.
from you, the opposition, in this country,
Oh, we can't hear you. We can't hear you.
you can't hear me?
Yes.
What about you? You are not hearing me again?
Okay. Please just speak louder.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, what I'm saying is that what I've observed from you, the opposition political parties in this country,
Yes.
yes, you are too casual,
We are too casual.
yes, to the UPND government. I remember when PS was in government, the behavior which was portrayed or came from the current president, the minister, and the UPND cadres. They were not even given chance to the patriotic front government to have the order, or just to take a vote of order.
Mm-hmm.
Government, they are probably giving to the UPND, to the NMD government. Now, you want to be intimidated as if you are not the Zambian people. That's why, if you are not careful, I want to tell you this. If you are not careful, all of you are going to have court cases in this country. Which it will be very difficult for you as the opposition political parties in this country, to also contest the coming election in 2026.
Mm-hmm.
To be too casual to this government. This government will continue intimidating you and will continue doing all sorts of things so that we shut your mouth up. So, try to work hard. Our hope is in you, the opposition political parties. Your political party, Mr. Mwamba, and your friend. We want you to stand up and speak. Speak louder. Don't even give them a chance to even take a bottle of water. Let them feel what you felt. Let them feel what PF felt, PF leaders felt, and let them feel what the LMD government felt. If truly they are giving checks and balances, well, meaning checks and balances to the previous government, they could have been given chance also to rule this country with their heart and with freedom. But this time around, they have messed up everything. So what we need to do, the Zambian people have already resolved that better we remove this government in 2026. Come 2026. So please help us. You are our mouthpiece. You are the voice for the voiceless. To us, the voiceless. The people who can stand and speak. You speak on behalf of the Zambian people. Continue fighting. Continue making sure that we give checks and balances to this government. And also expose whatever they are doing, the corrupt things which they are doing.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. I think you are very clear. We need to work harder than we have been. Thank you very much. Good evening, please. Tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening. This is Regan.
Oh, Regan from Nairobi. Brother Regan, make your contributions.
Thank you very much. I want us to talk about the refusal of the president to declare whatever he has.
Mm-hmm.
I think this should not come as a surprise to the Zambian people, because even if we go back before he even became a president, I think we had a lot of issues with him, regardless of where he gets the money and how he became rich and everything. So now that he even has that power, I think it will be very difficult to know where he gets the money. Maybe when he moves from the power, the government will come, they may try to force him to tell us where he gets the money. So I think for me that one is not a surprise, because everything around him, they have no clear sources that we can point out to say, you know, there are a lot of issues around whatever he has. So he knows that maybe when he declares what he has, it will get back to the problems that we used to have before. Coming to the issue of the ACC, these are institutions that are mandated to carry out the issues of corruption and all these things. You see, when they are appointing people in these institutions, they come with zeal, they come with energy, they come with that power to work. But when they enter into the system, then they discover what is in the system. Remember, they also have families. They also have people whom they take care. So when you enter into the system and you find the system is rotten, what will you do? And you are just verified. You can't fight with the people who appointed you, regardless of saying this one it's an independent institution. But when you enter there and then you find your bosses, they have to tell you what to do. They have to tell you where to go. They have to tell you where to step, what to sign and what not to sign. So that becomes very difficult for these people. So for me, I don't blame most of the time these guys who are in SEC, who are in FIC, these guys who are helping to find out the issue of corruption. That's why you find they are more on the oppositions. Every time they are arresting the oppositions, doing investigations. But you won't tell me that these ministers, they are not doing corruption, which is not true. Even corruption in government is there, but it's very difficult for them to tap their hands into the government system and try to find out what they have. Like now, the president is not ready to declare what he has. And I'm sure the SEC will have no power to force him. That one is impossible. Otherwise, very soon you hear that there is a change of board, management board of these institutions or that institutions. So I think for me, what I'm seeing as I'm concluding is that the oppositions that we have in Zambia currently, including you, I think you need to pull up socks in terms of talking about these things. Because you people, you have been in the system, you know how things work, you know how things operate, and you are the only people who can highlight the minds of the people to know what is happening behind the curtain. But if you are talking behind the curtain also, and you are also talking maybe with fear, or maybe when the minister or the president says something, you become quiet or you become afraid, the Zambian people will not be enlightened of what is going on. So for me, it's just an encouragement for the oppositions to say, let them at least put into fire that issue of giving checks and balances and monitoring to know what is happening.
Thank you very much.
So I think for me, that's my contribution.
Thank you, Regan. Let's talk later after this program.
Okay, thank you very much.
We saw Lemmy Kajoba, former Inspector General of Police. He issued a statement that he was investigating the court payout of $15 million to former Ghanaian teachers, and that certain law firms were fingered not to have paid this money out. Lemmy Kajoba proceeded to give this information to the newspapers. And who was fired? It's not the person who was fingered at State House, but Lemmy Kajoba's IG. Those are the issues we are talking about. The colleagues at Auditor General's office, they exposed corruption at Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Tourism, ACC, and other bodies. Who got fired? Who got arrested? The very people that are exposing these acts of corruption. Some people are saying, no. The ACC Board Chair answered. Do you know that he didn't answer? And he didn't answer convincingly. Hence, we must believe this report. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name is Twala.
Twala, where are you calling us from, sir?
From Kafue.
From Kafue. Make your contribution, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. For me, I want to encourage you to continue people that are in the offices that hold, especially the man public funds, they could take that as an advantage and start abusing the offices that they have. By saying that, I'm not saying that the ACC maybe they use the money. What I don't have a position for that, because I know that the investigations are in motion as we speak. There's no conclusion as of now. As we are speaking, all of us are just airing our views based on the few information that is there, but we don't know the conclusion. We're just speculating. But for me, I'm encouraging you that maybe just continue what you're doing. Don't be intimidated, as others have said. For me, I support the UPN, that's okay. But I'm encouraging you to continue doing what you're doing, Mr. Mwamba. You are making those people work for that. The Zambian masters. For now, for me, that would be the way that I have. No, this whole 5 million thing is not concluded. We have the right to speak about it. It is within our right. That is why we are a democracy. That is our money, and we have all the power to say whatever we want about it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very clear. The audit report, if you haven't had it, is a draft report. It requires ACC to respond to it. There was an attempt by the board chair to dismiss it as not authentic and a social media document. But it was broken by 2 reputable newspapers, News Diggers and The Must. And if you look at the document, it is authentic. No matter how much they want to trivialize or make it like it's not a matter, it is a very serious matter. Because ACC, it has demonstrated that there is fraud at ACC. Officers are stealing exhibit money. It's just not 65 million under question. There's a 1 million kwacha. There is 11.3 million kwacha. There is abuse of resources, overpayments. And even the former Director General, who's now the current DPP, is fingered in 2 of the issues that were done. Look at the document, how they are not managing forfeiture of proceeds. Most of the assets that they've recovered, they don't even follow up, they don't collect rent, they are not repairing them, and the assets are going derelict. There are vehicles that they have, and they are spending money on parked vehicles. There are over 80 issues that were raised other than the 65 million kwacha. I think that ACC must answer to that. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Calling you from Silverest within Lusaka.
Thank you, Michael. Make your contribution, sir.
Sir, thank you so much for giving me opportunity for this wonderful platform.
Yeah.
Yes. Sir, first of all, we have heard everything and we have seen. Me, myself, I'm on the ground. It's us who found, who move with people here. We found with people and we interact with different people. We are on the low level. That is what I can say. Mm. Yes, and what we have seen, we have seen a lot of intimidation. A lot of intimidation in this government. What is going on? This intimidation, I am sure, what they want, they just wanted to silence each and every opposition. They don't want to speak, the opposition to speak out because of their failure. That's why they are doing this. So, like the previous scholar, the way they said, let us work hard, even as resident, the citizen of this beautiful Mother Zambia. Let us unite and contribute, because we can't just let you opposition yourself to talk about these things. Yeah. Also, us, we are also affected, because when you are arresting people like this, how can the economy move when you are arresting people? The economy cannot move while you are troubling other people, those people who can take the economy to another level, you are busy disturbing them. Because this country, you can't learn on your own. You need people who can help you for you to achieve the goal. You need people who can help you. So, sir, what I can encourage you, I have seen the one who come out and speak for the people, how Mr. Chilufya Tayari come out, and you also, the way you come out. I have seen, apart from PF, what other opposition do we have in Zambia who can speak out? Because everyone now, they fear to go to jail. I remember what Sata said, what our late Michael Chilufya Sata said. The educated people, they are the most coward because they fear to go to jail. Everyone is quiet. Because they are scared to go to jail. Mr. Sata used to go to jail just to fight for peace for the people, so that the people, they can have peace. He used to spend a lot of time in jail for him to reach where he is. Even the current president, he was in jail. He was fighting for him to be where he is. So, you opposition leader, you don't have to have fear. If you want to fight for the people, fight. If it is going to jail, let them jail you for the truth. Because even God bless those people who do things for the people.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael, with those views today. I think there is a clear word for us, members of the opposition, that we must speak, and we must speak forcefully. We shouldn't be intimidated, or we shouldn't be cowards. I was explaining that the occurrence at the National Audit Office, where this document has come from, is a matter of serious office, where they got the Auditor General arrested. We know the only reason they decided to disrupt the work of the Auditor General was because of the corruption they were exposing. And if there was merit to what they were arrested for, there were over 100 people that received those allowances from Parliament, from Ministry of Justice, from the ACC and other law enforcement agencies, because that body is a witness to parliamentary work, especially the Public Accounts Committee. If they were serious, they would have arrested everyone, not picking and choosing. That's why we think that the occurrence at the National Audit Office is just to disrupt the work they were doing, as we've seen in this audit report. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
My name is Godwin. I'm calling you from Kabwe.
Yes, Godwin from Kabwe. Make your contribution, sir.
Yes, I would like just to add just a few things.
Yes.
Firstly, I would like to say I was a bit disappointed by the reaction from the chairman for the anti-corruption. I want to believe that government has systems and people must be made to be answerable to systems. We are not a monarchy where decisions are made unilaterally without following procedures. For example, if we say the money is missing, we are saying the money is not recorded in the certain systems. The government has not received the money, but you decide to disburse it without government receiving it, or without going into the, control 90. So how accountability be taken? So we need this government, to be to allow people, controlling officers, to answer to systems, so that we can also see that this is what the government is doing. There is transparency. Government money, if it is just spent anyhow, and those who are talking are intimidated, those who are asking questions are intimidated, then we will not be going anywhere. And this is what they were doing when they were in opposition. We want them to continue on the same, trajectory. They should give space to those who are checking. Sometimes Ambassador Chabaso, ngatuleta mpira. Ama spectators, we are the best players. Tunamwone filu we file chitika.
Ngabamibika mo.
Mkwai. Bola turaite abuyonga na twikala muri ya mu stadium tureta amba. Nomba ngabamibika mo nomba ero tumona kanchi vintu vyali afya. But sometimes ngamwamfwa na ma players na obalomfwa. Ngaomfwa player chwe kukola sana na bola yule pastor banobe bwangu. Kula bokuchinja mwayengisha no tukato. Pantu leo umfa na bena nga chale fyo finja kuserati ifuma speakers tulelanda tule mone fyo bale bomba ngatoba bola yako kola hapo peni kwa banenu na ngupasteni ba umfwa apa de kentweshe kwefi ifintu fyo alaba bwino accountability kuma systems is very very important alalinga kutala na transparency mobuteko ibe mone fintu file mone kafe bwino. The question was simple. Bushe 65 million kwacha ile bati yali loba procedure yali konkelwe bushe mu Bank of Zambia ile mone kati yali ingira question na ngoke bali bomfeshe fofine tayayingire mo, they should admit tayayingire mo twali ibomfya twala ishibata mwali chita breach procedure ifintu fikonkanye fila konkanya hapo hiyo
but board chair ngawachimia feka deposit slip
mkwai
ka deposit slip ngachimia na press conference.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, my brother from Kabwe. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. Tomorrow at 10:30, 11 hours, the police have summoned a young man called Malambo Ushahud. Malambo, you must have seen that video where he's literally called the president a thief and his government. He says you are stealing money from Kasenseli Gold. You must have seen that. So instead of the police getting interested in what Malambo is saying and was exposing, he even said where the money was, where the gold from Kasenseli, from Winilunga was being taken to a smelting company, named everyone in the chain, including officers in charge that are participating in this theft. And he said this is being done because of the president. But it's Malambo they've called for criminal defamation. You'll be at the police tomorrow at 11 hours, and I hope that the media can take interest and check out what this young man was exposing. Don't incriminate, don't punish whistleblowers. I gave an example of Lemmy Kajoba. Lemmy Kajoba went to the public, issued a statement that have been stopped from investigating the corruption of this $15 million. And the one who has stopped me is a special assistant for legal affairs to the president. It was in black and white, published. Who got fired? It's Lemmy Kajoba, not the person who said to have illegally stopped the investigations. So what do you want us to make of it? You have a contractor who went to the president, wrote a letter and to ACC and told them that the Minister of Health solicited a bribe and a vehicle from me. He put it in writing. Even his local partners also confirmed that to law enforcement agencies. But nothing has been done to the minister. In fact, the minister received more kudos and affirmations. And the man who was a whistleblower as a contractor in this matter is the one that was branded as a criminal and he was scandalized. So are you fighting corruption? And now the major issues at ministry at the ACC, the governance weakness, the lack of risk management. Good evening, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Mr. Mwamba. This is Michael Sola calling you from Kafue.
Yes, Mr. Michael Sola. Make your contribution, sir.
Yes, how have you been? Long time.
Very well, thank you. How's Kafue?
Kafue is good.
Thank you.
Sure, Mr. Mwamba. I just want to find out and have more clarity on this $65 million.
65 million kwacha.
Sorry?
65 million kwacha.
Yes, 65 million kwacha plus the $57,000 what there.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember we watched this on FB and also on news when the ACC was handing over a check of 65 million kwacha to the Ministry of Finance. So I don't know, is there any other 65 million again, or it is the same 65 million kwacha which was handed over to the Ministry of Finance?
Yeah. First of all, that was a dummy check. Huh? You can't take such a big check to the bank. It's very big. It's just for display to the media.
A display as a what?
They allege that they were handing over the money. That's the allegation. But the auditor, when the auditor went there, the auditor has not seen any evidence to show that the money was deposited.
No. I think you leaders, you need to be giving us full information so that us, your followers, we can pick up realities.
It is not my view. It is the view of interim audit that has been done at the ACC, and it has brought out over 80 irregularities, including the issue of 65 million kwacha. So the audit has walked to the ACC and has demanded for this information that was unavailable. There was no evidence that this money was deposited in Control 99. Whether the students were paid, whether there was a handover ceremony, I just can't tell you, my brother, that I've given you money, I've paid you money. You ask what we call POP, proof of payment. Can you show me that, Mr. Mwamba, you've sent me money to Kafue? Won't you ask for a POP?
I'm definitely going to ask, but have that been done, or it is just what we have seen on social media and also on from the Diggers newspaper?
The Diggers, the Must, are very credible newspapers. To my view, they have concluded that the report is a genuine report. I have looked at the audit report. I have put it as a subject today because I think that that draft report is genuine.
Okay, but did you make some follow-ups as well, so that even when you are coming live like this, you share with us with the full information to say yes, what they have published, I have the proof. This is what is on the ground, or you've just picked it also just from what they have published.
When SCC held the press conference, I expected the board chair. First of all, this is an audit issue. It's not his issue. It's a management issue. But I expected him to produce a receipt, a deposit slip. Simple. There was even no need for that press conference. He should have just given us a deposit slip and end of story.
Anyway, from the look of things, Mr. Mwamba, you as leaders, I'm very much expecting you people to be coming out with the full information, and then depending on what the social media is circulating.
Social media, President Hichilema is called the social media president. He's a Facebook president. I don't know why you want to discount the power of social media. It made him got elected.
Yes, there was a reason behind that. If we are to go back to where you have driven me back of how the sitting president now, how he was voted. Yes, it was on social media, reasons being that you people, the PF, you never allowed him to campaign.
I know, I'm just demonstrating the power of social media. Don't discount it.
Yes, because we have already touched there to say the sitting president was voted through social media, so you shouldn't say social media. We shouldn't rely too much on social media. I'm sure social media has played a very big role, like in 2021. 2021, the social media contributed a lot to this nation. But now what we are seeing today from this very same social media, it is now becoming, I don't know, I'm failing to understand it. I'm now coming to a point of failing to understand it because there's a lot of lies now and then facts. Because in 2021...
No, we can verify for the newspaper to publish that document. They went through the debate. Remember, the document didn't break out on social media. It was broken out by 2 newspapers, established newspapers that are aware of libel, criminal, and other form of defamation. If you publish falsehood, they are aware.
Yes, but now what I'm trying to say, Mr. Mwamba, here is this. You see, you, the opposition, this is where the hope of many other Zambians relies on. And if you are not giving us credible checks and balances, you only rushing into whatever that comes on social media, then you are there strongly.
No, the reason we are here, Mr. Twala, as I let you go, is that if money is stolen in the past or now, you and I must worry.
Yes, just a minute, Mr. Mwamba. Just a minute, sir. Yes. What I'm trying to say is this, Mr. Mwamba.
Yes.
You, the opposition, I think people are building hope on the opposition because if the sitting government doesn't have a credible opposition, meaning a lot of wrongs will be happening. Okay? So now we expect you, the opposition, not to be rushing too much on social media because by the end of the day, if the proof is being shown to say, okay, here is the proof, how are people going to look at Ambassador Mwamba who came live and said this money is missing?
Thank you, Mr. Twala. There are so many calls as you can hear. Let's just pick the other calls. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yeah, this is Paul from New York City, Ambassador.
Wapo mulishani. Kulishani ku New York.
We are enjoying better than people in Zambia who are suffering. The prices of commodities in Mdarawanga.
Kambampuani.
Ambassador Mwamba, nifuna kukamba especially guide, mwawana a platform unaleta Ambassador Mwamba. It's a nice platform and chintu chikuru cha nifuna kukoselesa nkono Ambassador Mwamba, especially mwanga wa previous caller, Mr. Mwamba, you can't convince a monkey that honey is sweeter than bananas. Mwamvera so uyo muntu mwacho kamba pona eve Ambassador Mwamba ni wa UPND. So angayese munjira zonse zafuna ote akuchoseli munjira. But the fact, I mean, is why you don't come with lies when you come at your platform. You come with facts. So na wewe wakazibwana mafakti wangayese kumuvingani mwanga funa kumuvingani Ambassador Mwamba basi wazakwanisa. What is important is that social media inafaga vintu vonse pa open inatsegula menso kuliba babelase kwanisa kutinama press conference ko ifeta imvera ichi mamene mwakambira mwatebezo fulika bashita kurepresent moko ka bank slip kaja ba kalangiza to ndrama sinashitwa deposit ndiye chintu chachinga kwanza kutishita kombia. Failure to that iswanga kwanza kutigira mweso tirangana iyo ni boza Ambassador Mwamba sikomo kwa mbili.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much. That's what the board chair should have done. He should have just produced a deposit slip, not the entire speech he was giving. Many people have looked at that audit report. It is the work of the Auditor General's report. I'm taking interest in the Auditor General, recognizing what has happened and the current acting Auditor General at the office. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Hello.
Kindly switch off your device or mute it.
Yes,
I've just muted.
Yes, please. Make your contribution, sir. Your name and where you are calling us.
Yeah, I'm Shala calling from Mansa.
Shala from Mansa, kindly make your contributions.
Thank you, Mr. Mwamba. Thank you for this program. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to talk to my brother from Kafiwe.
Yes.
Let's not politicize everything.
Mm.
It's not about politics. I'm just disappointed he's saying that the media information now is not credible. It was only credible before. I'm just disappointed in a brother.
Mm.
He's trying to twist things. He's not trying to get some sense from what is being talked about.
But Charles, make your contributions.
No, I just wanted to encourage my brother to get the points from what you are talking about,
okay,
not to politicize everything.
Oh,
thank you.
No, thank you. That's why it's counsel. To my dear brother from Kafiwe, you've been doing good advice. Let's discuss the topic. It's for the benefit of the country. If the 65 million kwacha is missing, it is to the disadvantage of you and me. It's not a political matter. What we want is these oversight institutions should abide by principles for which they were created. They should actually be above everyone else. You can call us on 077-378-3785. You can call us on 0973-045292. And you can call us on 0974-808-115. The occurrence at the National Audit Office, I think this is what has necessitated even this leakage, because there's been an attempt to scandalize the work of the Auditor General. They've been disrupted and removed, and new persons have been put in place. Our point has been very clear. If you are punishing anyone for those allowances, punish everyone from Ministry of Justice, ACC, Parliament, Ministry of Finance. You can't pick and choose who to punish from the same people that received all the same allowances. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Mwamba. This is Michael Sol again. I just want to respond to the people who are debating on my contribution.
That's why I encourage them to make their own contributions.
Yes, because they are supposed to contribute and then debating on what I have said.
Yeah.
And the way how we understand things, we understand them differently. And I'm one person, Mr. Mwamba, if you are wrong, I must tell you straight, looking into your eyes to say, here, Mr. Mwamba, you are wrong. And if I'll be just praising you, then that means I'm not being honest to myself.
No, Michael, you saw I guided. I encouraged my dear brother from Mansa to say his views. So we need to respect your views. And then debating even on what you others need to respect my view, and you need to respect each other. That's the purpose of the debate. Is that you should get the views.
Because we need to look a coin on both sides.
Yes,
we need to get the information, and also we need to protect the person who is giving us the information. What if tomorrow the evidence will be showed? How are people going to look at Mr. Mwamba?
No, thank you very much. No, you make your point. You don't have to go through there, and you are protected. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Good evening, Emmanuel. This is Arthur from Karulushi.
Arthur from Karulushi. Make your contribution, sir.
Yes. My contribution is simple and brief. You know, in as much as we changed government, the one thing that everyone needs to know is this: that the people that are now in government are not saints. They are human beings. And they are prone to make mistakes, and they are prone to be tempted. So to come out and say, no, this can't happen, this never will ever happen, no, it's a lie. And where there's a wrong, we need to speak out, we need to question, we need to query. They owe that to us. We are citizens, that's why we voted. Even if we, for argument's sake, we never voted for them or we voted for them, we still have to be told what's really happening. I mean, it's a known fact. money has to be accounted for. 65 million can't just be told to say, no, it was given to students. Where is the proof? Where did the students that were getting the money sign? I mean, it was supposed to be accounted for, deposited. We need to see that deposit slip. Simple and straightforward. And people have to be fired over this. Here, the president just has to come out and say, no, I think ACC follow this up, and people have to be held accountable. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very clear that if you look at the audit report and you look at the institution of the ACC, you can see that there's extensive rot at that institution. It's an oversight institution, but it's not even adhering to basic regulations. Like, for example, over exhibits, the money that it seizes, and the money, 1 million kwacha was given to the minister of, to the office of the Minister of Mines over the Sujilite. Government doesn't release money just like that. There's another 11.3 million kwacha missing. Before we talk about the 65 million kwacha, I'm aware that there's an attempt to denigrate the audit report, but I can tell you that for the must and news diggers to publish it, they went through the motions that you are asking. Is it genuine or not? Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Good evening, Brother Regan. You are back.
I like the debate, and that's when I got to the point of the discussion because I came a bit late.
Thank you, Brother Regan. Make your contribution, Brother Regan from Kenya.
I'm just concerned because when handing over the check, that means the money has already been deposited.
That's the ideal situation.
Yes. So in this situation, how can we wait for the check to come after people have complained, like the way people were complaining, and then the check comes later to say we deposited the money? Then there must be a fraud there. Maybe that money, I remember what happened during PF with the Minister of Community Development. We had the issue when the money came, but the money but went, and the institution which was not intended to, and it did work, it was not intended for. And the minister was brought to book to be accounted for that. So for me, I'm thinking that act might happen just as a practical act, but it's not the reality. Maybe the money is somewhere making profits. And then later on, they might come again. Now, when they have profits, then they can come and show now the receipts to say, now we have deposited or we deposited the money. Because for me, I think we don't even need meetings. This issue just needs to produce a pay slips to say, no, we deposited the money, this is the check, and this is the statement from the bank. Because that money is too huge to just take the money and give the person in bags or in a briefcase. That money has to go through the bank.
Thank you.
If not, then they should tell us which bank they used to deposit that money. We can do the findings ourselves to know whether that money was deposited, which bank was used to deposit that money. I think that's what I wanted to contribute as.
Thank you very much. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening,
Good evening.
I'm calling in from Solwezi, Esau.
Who?
Esau.
Esau from Solwezi. Thank you, my brother. Make your contributions.
Okay, thank you. I think I got interested when the board chairman was presenting that conference. I managed to get hold of that document. I read through, just reading through it, I think it's sad reading if at all that document is authentic. Because institutions like ACC, if they are failing to follow simple procurement procedures, then I'm wondering how they are fighting corruption in this country. Well, they should be the number one to follow procedure. I found it true. And one of the issues was that caught my eye was the procurement of the vehicle. Also that one I got interested, read through, and coming from the procurement profession, I think it's really, really bad. It's really, really bad. So really, the government should be really as transparent as possible over this matter. Because the issue here, according to that document on page 61, the issue of the 5 million, the major issue here, yes, it could have been paid to the students, truly it could have been paid here and there. That's the issue of procedure. First of all, the man was supposed to hit, is it control 99?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then from there paid out to whoever is a beneficiary. But it looks like there was that political, the people are in a hurry politically in order that they appeal some people as maybe politicians are. That's what they were supposed to be. So it's a matter of procedure, which I think is a principle of the ACC to ensure that every officer order follows the procedure. Now, if the ACC can flout procedure in that manner, I can also dispute they came to my office to investigate me over procedure and so on. I think that issue for me is a question of procedure, and that is that document is highlighting that because of not following procedure, maybe money could have been lost. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. He's very right. The issues that have been raised on page 61 of the document over the 65 million, mostly say 1 million that appears to be missing. And on the 65 million, there is no proper documentation, no proof, no court document to demonstrate that this 65 million was deposited in Control 99. There are certain acquittal documents you are supposed to have, and they were not provided for to the auditor. Is a document authentic? I think it's authentic. It's at draft stage. Management of the SEC is supposed to then make responses to all the 80 concerned queries. And like Esau from Solwezi stated, that there are various issues, especially the flouting of procedures and the overpayment done to the Director General on 2 cases. Payments made to the board. The board chair has been implicated in this matter. So you are speaking as a person of interest that he was trying to dismiss the validity of the report, because he's also been fingered. Particular details have been cited to the role of the board and the commissioners, and then the Director General, who's now the DPP. So management needs to make a response to try to wish away this document. It doesn't work. That's why documents leak, because you're trying to bury the issues. You are trying to do a cover-up, hence documents leak. Government is such a large infrastructure. You will see leakages, whether it's in my government or President Hakainde Hichilema's or Edgar Lungu's or any other person's. Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name, I'm John Mwamba.
Yes, John. May you make your contributions. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from within Lusaka.
Okay, thank you. Kindly make your contributions.
Okay. It's just my encouragement to the PF party. Yeah, we are behind you. We know that there are a lot of things that happened during your time, but I personally, I have forgiven each and every cadres who are like harassing people. But for now, we are behind you. We want to support you, because we've seen that this government is taking us nowhere. Yeah, it's taking us nowhere. So our hope, I know I'm speaking on behalf of many Zambian who are quiet. I know they are thinking, most of those people, they are thinking of coming out, like telling you to say, no, don't give up, no matter what you are going through as a party. We are behind you. The only thing that you have to do, you come together, let's work together as one, and we have to at least mobilize more people to strengthen our party. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much, John. Thank you very much, John from Lusaka. I questioned the ACC, their role in Kabushi and Kwacha. We've never seen concerted efforts of state-owned, state institutions where they were used by State House to ensure that the two candidates, Bowman Lusambo and Joe Malanji, were excluded from that poll. We saw the role of the police. We saw the role of the ACC. We saw ECZ actively participate to ensure that they excluded them. We saw the ruling from Concord. And the Constitutional Court has affirmed what we stated, that the two candidates were unfairly excluded from that election in Kwacha and Kabushi. And for me, I had cited the ACC. I said, you have a board chair who is respected. How can you participate in this process in this manner? Good evening. Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Good evening, Ambassador Mamba.
Good evening.
My name is Lungu Jacob.
Yes, Mr. Jacob Lungu. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling you from Mundola.
From Mundola. Make your contribution, sir.
Yes, sir. Or maybe perhaps if we could look at how this money was gotten from our famous Sonda. I foresee a situation where maybe this money was gotten from Sonda's like a mob arrangement, where if the money goes missing, then State Musonda is going to be the complainant. So henceforth, maybe these people, they are looking at this from the perspective where if State Musonda does not complain, then it's done and dusted. Yeah, because it does not make sense if the ACC, as a government agency, got the money from a faith that was suspected to be proceeds of crime, and then it's not that well documented. Maybe I could even concur with the other caller who said maybe the money could be somewhere making profits and then to come back later on. Yes.
Yeah.
It's the question of, I think, running away from accountability, like dealing with a mob, the mob kind of arrangement, like a gangster kind of arrangement. Yes, so that's my perspective and contribution.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you from Mundola. Thank you. One caller had stated that, why are we surprised? The president has not led in transparency, has refused to disclose his assets to the public, liabilities and incomes and interests that he has in various companies. And he has also failed to move to State House, and the state is incurring huge sums of money from his daily trek to State House. So if the president is failing to lead in transparency, remember, his name also comes up in the fertilizer issue at Ministry of Agriculture and the issues at Ministry of Health in the procurement of medicine. Hence, you see this laxity that we have seen in other institutions. For the SEC, some issues could be historical, but when you have a new broom, a new board chair who's a well-known anti-corruption fighter comes into office, you need to see him clean up, not defend the corruption as we saw today. Like we are saying, if SEC had deposited the money in Control 99, all it needed was a deposit slip, period. And that matter could have been laid to rest. But for us, there are other 80 issues that the audit has raised regarding overpayment to the former Director General, irregular payment to the Director General and his commissioners, irregular payment to the board, wasteful expenditure, lack of qualifications among senior management, the mismanagement of the forfeiture of proceeds of crime, and how they are managing those assets, and then general poor governance and lack of risk management, policies on all this. There are a lot of issues that were raised during this period, and I expected the board chair to be forthright, to say we'll clean up, to say we'll investigate. In fact, you don't dismiss. You say we'll investigate if truly the 65 million was deposited, because now you give us and render us to the realm of speculation, like other people are saying. Earn interest, and at the right time they'll come and deposit. You can't rule out with the ineffective answer that was given to them. We only have a few minutes, about I think 10 minutes to wind up. Make your call. The numbers are 077-378-3785, 0973-045292, or 974-808-115. Today we're discussing the oversight institution of the anti-corruption. Are they fighting corruption, or they've rendered themselves as a tool of oppression, especially against the opposition? We've seen how when the president makes remarks, for example, about Bowman Lusambo, and the ACC the following week moves in with flurry of activities against Bowman Lusambo. That's not the role of the ACC. They should be independent, they should demonstrate autonomy, and they should be led by crimes against, they should be pursuing crimes, not individuals or personalities. But we've seen over the last 18 months a pattern form. Even when they have new management, new board chair, who's a renowned fighter against corruption. The audit report is draft at that stage. It requires management response. We will look forward to what the Auditor General's office will say tomorrow. Will they dismiss this report as fake? The power of social media is that it exposes all these issues. And if you begin to pile up lies after lies to attempt to cover up, they say in criminology, the biggest crime is the one to cover up the crime, because then you commit more offense than the first offense. So sometimes institutions don't know that when you are trying to cover up, the biggest crime then occur at the cover-up period, which saw Nixon lose his presidency. It was not a crime that his members of the FBI were burgled into the office of the opposition, but it was subsequent events to cover up. You saw the issue of Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton. It was not a crime that he was having an affair with one of the interns. It is the use of his office to cover up that he was having an affair with an intern that almost cost him the presidency, and he had that impeachment. So let's see what the Auditor General will say tomorrow. Today we're discussing the Auditor General's draft report that was covered in 31st December 2022, which was ascertaining whether funds appropriated to the ACC was used properly, and that if it was applied for the purpose it was used, and whether it was expended in conformity with the authority, and whether the funds were expended efficiently and effectively. And the Auditor General expressed an independent opinion on it. The management at ACC are supposed to respond, and then we know what has happened at the Auditor General's office. Totally unfair. And we have said it on this program and many programs that that process was unfair for various reasons, because everyone that got allowances has not been arrested. They've only picked and chosen a few to pick and scandalize, and only a few have been arrested. Again, that goes to show you that there was an attempt to use that document as a form of punishment. Tomorrow, Malambo Oshud, who was alleged that gold in Kasenseli is being stolen, will appear at the police. Is being investigated for criminal defamation. We had hoped that the police would take interest in what is alleging, that gold is being taken from Kasenseli. I would urge the media to take time and visit Oshud. Malambo be at the ACC with his lawyers, at the police service headquarters with his lawyers at 11 hours tomorrow. Oh, sorry, we missed your call. You can call again. You can call again. As we wind up, I want to take the last 3 phone calls as we close. We're discussing the anti-corruption. There are various causes. Ambassador, at the level things are going, the opposition is toothless. I propose you compile issues and organize a huge rally with other opposition leaders where you can highlight issues with one solid voice. This government has failed. Oh, thank you very much for that encouragement. Today there were a lot of encouragement to us, the opposition, that this government is failing. What are we doing in response? Can we go out to the people and begin to mobilize the people? I like that. I like that. Probably we have to go to the people and we need the opposition to arrange a huge rally to discuss and highlight the following. Number one, stop the fraudulent construction of the Lusaka dual carriageway where they want to get money from NAPSA and Workers' Compensation Fund. The sewage light scandal, don't let it die. The arrest and intimidation of the opposition. Mining in Lower Zambezi. Oh, I love this. No mining in the national parks. That has been my point. The scandal in the fertilizer procurement 2 seasons in a row. Poor agriculture policy and strategy. And the failure to resolve issues of Mopani and KCM. Organize the biggest rally, Ambassador Mwamba. Thank you very much. And thank you for the encouragement you are giving us under responsibilities. We probably have to, this one just says, nice, Mr. President, good topic. Yeah, people are waiting for 2026, Ambassador. Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. We take the last 2 calls, the last few calls, at least I've read the messages, so that then we can begin to close. My director, please prepare the verse. Just put the board chair, let him speak as we close. Then we come back. Let the board chair speak what he spoke today, defending the audit report and the 65 million kwacha.
We don't have it. Brian, we don't have them. I've never seen 65 million in my life. So I can tell you that money was handed over. And it moved from the Anti-Corruption Commission. We don't have it, and certainly we didn't misappropriate it. And details that appear tailored to deliberately embarrass the Anti-Corruption Commission. For example, at page 61 of the purported management letter, there is an allegation that 65 million kwacha forfeited from Ms. Faith Musonda was misappropriated. This is a blatant falsehood. All of you members of the press attended a media briefing and a handover ceremony on the 23rd of February 2022, at which the Anti-Corruption Commission handed over a check for the sum of 65,333,046 kwacha to the Honorable Minister of Finance. There were press reports carried, interestingly, by news diggers that this money had been handed over to the Bursaries Committee by the Ministry of Finance. But that's an issue that can only be clarified by the Ministry of Finance. I wish to inform you, members of the press, that the money moved from the Anti-Corruption Commission account at Bank of Zambia to the Ministry of Finance on the 3rd of March 2023. It is therefore not true that this money was misappropriated in this institution. Let me take this opportunity to complain to you colleagues in the media. We are at pains to see why you colleagues would publish unconfirmed documents when you attended the handover of the money from the Anti-Corruption Commission. No attempt was made to verify any of this information with us here at the Anti-Corruption Commission, the Bank of Zambia, or the Ministry of Finance. You members of the press are key partners in the fight.
Thank you very much. You saw the board chair forcefully deny the disappearance of the 65 million kwacha, but provide no evidence. And he was just saying numbers. And the audit cited more of procedure. And like one caller stated, people have gone to prison over procedure. Just procedure. No money was lost. And procedure. We have the famous case of Aaron Chungu and Faustin Kabwe, where no money was lost. No one testified that the money was missing, but they went to jail. So as we wind up, we wait to hear what the Auditor General's office will say tomorrow. We recognize the circumstances under which he was made as new Auditor General, despite similar issues that have seen the previous Auditor General be set aside. But we hear his response. Will he defend his work as Auditor General, or will he be compliant to the cover-up scheme? We'll wait and we might discuss it on Wednesday. The issue of government versus the Catholic Church is burning, but it's burning down, and we decided to skip it to them. Let's see if it will still be an issue. But there are many issues. We might discuss generally the state of the economy on Wednesday, but we'll let you know in advance. So as we say goodbye, thank you for joining us. For all those that were calling us, thank you. And for those that didn't call, we had put a new number to accommodate as many calls as possible. But I guess it is in the brevity and briefness of our people who are calling where we'll accommodate more calls. So may the Lord bless you. May the Lord keep you. May the Lord make his face shine on you, and may he be gracious to you. May the Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace as we say good night. Sleep well, and we'll see you on Wednesday. God bless you.
Emmanuel.